And welcome back to Bitcoin Advisors channel. Today is Thursday, PPI Thursday. Producer Price Index will be coming out later today. I don't know if that'll have much effect on Joe Biden's 0% inflation headline yesterday. All I can hear from everybody I talked to, oh, inflation came out at 0%. No, it really came out at 8.5%. It's still the highest we've seen in 40 years. I don't know what they're talking about. They're a little bit crazy out there. So today, not only are we going to cover Bitcoin's price action, whether we're bullish or bearish in the short term and the long term, we're also going to take a look at some crypto news. So that being said, let's get right in it. By the way, if you don't want to hear about the news, just hit the fast forward button or play this on 1.5 times speed. You'll get through things a lot faster. But I do think it's relevant today. Ethereum completed the Gurley testnet merge, and this means the consensus layer, which has so far been running off proof of stake consensus mechanism paralleled to Gurley, has merged into Gurley's execution layer, unifying the two systems. So this was a successful merge, and developers estimate that the mainnet upgrade will happen somewhere between September 15th and September 20th. The timing of the merge on mainnet can't be predicted exactly because it depends on the level of difficulty of mining a block, which varies depending on how much mining power is dedicated to the network. So be looking out for the third week of September for some price action on Ethereum. We'll be following that closely. All right. Next up, Iran makes the first import order using cryptocurrency report. Yes, Iran made its first official import order using cryptocurrency this week. The semi-official TESTNET agency reported on Tuesday a move that could enable Islamic Republic to circumvent U.S. sanctions that have crippled the economy. The order, worth $10 million, was the first step towards allowing the country to trade through digital assets that bypass the dollar-dominated global financial system, and to trade with other countries similarly limited by U.S. sanctions, such as Russia. The agency didn't specify which cryptocurrency was used in the transaction. Quote, by the end of September, the use of cryptocurrencies and smart contracts will be widely used in foreign trade and target countries. And that is an official statement from the Ministry of Industry, Mine and Trade, said on Twitter. The United States imposes an almost total economic embargo on Iran, including a ban on all imports, including those from the country's oil, banking, and shipping sectors. I don't know if this is good news or bad news. I don't want to be supporting Iran in any, transactions, but to each their own. Secondly, now this is way better news. BlackRock CEO just dumped 20 million in shares. And here's why it's important. BlackRock is the largest fund manager in the world. They have $10 trillion in assets under management. When the CEO dumps 20 million of his own shares, right? Or the company's shares of their own stock, that is absolutely crazy. So that happened on August 5th when the shares were trading for $684. The sale was the largest by dollar amount for Fink potentially ever, and the largest share sale since early 2020, since the COVID crisis. Or I should say right before the COVID crisis. These guys tend to have a little bit of foresight. They might know something we don't know, right? So, and to couple that, BlackRock just launched the private trust offering direct Bitcoin exposure, keyword, to their institutional clients, right? So people that got $5 to $10 million, yes, give BlackRock a call. I'm sure they'd be willing to take your money and help you invest it in Bitcoin. It says, quote, despite the steep downturn in the digital asset market, we are seeing substantial interest from some institutional clients in how to efficiently and cost effectively access these assets using our technology and product capabilities. They also partnered with Coinbase on August 4th. And, the big question is, when you are investing $5 or $10 million in Bitcoin, no big deal. But if you get up to the 50 to 100 million, you're going to incur what's called slippage. You're going to move the market. Those big limit orders get put on the books, and they don't always get filled because the price starts to run away from you. So how do you place those trades? Well, I know how I place those trades. So I imagine the guys over at BlackRock are just starting to figure it out. And this comes just a year after BlackRock CEO Larry Fink said that the asset manager was seeing very little demand for digital assets. So 1 year later, all of a sudden he's flipping and saying, hey, you know what? I think we're going to offer Bitcoin to our clients. That's pretty interesting. All right, let's get into Bitcoin's relatively boring price action. And I do want to start off with the 5-day time frame. And we did call this one out saying, hey, look, as soon as the momentum crossed to the upside, along with volatility beginning to decline, we were expecting what's called the opposite of this. When volatility is inclining, it's called a reactive bounce. Gosh, I can't get the word for it right off the top of my head, but essentially, I'm going to come up with it in a second here. But a mean reversion bounce. That's what we're talking about. So the typical mean reversion bounce on Bitcoin has been on the 5-day time frame. I think it's somewhere between 30 and 50%. And we're right on target for that bounce. Actually, Stokes didn't cross until right here. So this would be our official cross right there on this flag. So yeah, so we measure from the low to the high, and I'll just make this a little bit more clear so you can see. We're up to 30% right now. So could we get a little more off this move and get it up to 40%? Tag that yellow 21, maybe a wick a little bit higher and hit the measure move off this ascending triangle or this rising channel, which is a bearish formation. That would put us up there to 54%. The 5-day is going to close here in 2 days and 6 hours. And so, yeah, I do think there is still possibly a threat of an upside move. Somewhere up around 26 to 28,000. That's where I'm expecting the next lower high to come in and the trend to continue to the downside. These things can take a long time to manifest on the 5-day time frame, on the weekly time frame, on the monthly time frame. We're talking about sometimes, a couple of weeks, sometimes a couple of months for these things to play out. So patience is the name of the game right now. If you are looking for, to play this next downside move. So what will I say here? Here will be a big indicator that we're getting the next downside move is when these guys cross back to the downside. Momentum will cross to the downside below 21,738, and keep in mind that number will be rising on the next closure. We're currently sitting at 24,136. So bigger moves are going to come when the Stokes cross from a higher level. So keep that in mind as well. We're not even above the 50 percentile right now. And something I did want to point out, again, threat of the downside move is coming back from this low right here. Would this be confirmed as a local low? Is this a stop and reverse? Is that a high? Is that a low? I would say yes. This looks like a confirmed local low. And why do I bring this up? Well, if you look at the RSI here, we have some drives of hidden bullish divergence, and that is this. When price is making higher lows, but RSI is making lower lows. So you can see higher low right here. So 1, 2, 3. 3 drives get you a move to the yellow 21, and I would expect Bitcoin does tag 26,500, especially with Joe Biden's new Inflation Reduction Act, where they're going to all of a sudden they're going to reduce inflation by injecting $750 billion into the economy. How does that make any sense? I'll tell you why. It's more of the fake news media. I just talked to my handyman this morning, and he goes, yeah, my wife says inflation's at 0%. And yeah, that was the headline, but nobody talks about the fact that it's at 8.5%. That's the number that matters, the year-over-year inflation coming in at 8.5%. We're still at the highest we've seen in 40 years. So does this give the point for the bulls so they can say, yeah, we're reducing inflation, gas prices are coming down? In California, they've gone down from $6 down to like $5.50 or $5.38, something crazy like that. I'm sure glad I'm not driving a dang regular car that, takes gasoline, because it's just absolutely crazy. And I don't even drive far. So 5-day time frame, the higher term, short term up, long term, 3 to 6 months, we're expecting some more downside action until what happens? We get a trend reversal, and that would be a higher high here at 34,000, somewhere in that range, and then a higher low. We're looking for a higher high and a higher low. Once that happens, I'm happy to get bullish, even on a 5-day time frame. Typically, I'll wait for the weekly time frame, but I would say 5-day. Let's be more conservative. Let's look for the higher high and the higher low on the weekly time frame. That should be enough for a trend reversal. So again, let the trend be your friend till the end of the trend. Now, if we are looking at the lower term time frames right now, on the 4-hour, again, we had this pivot on the market yesterday coming in at 24,730. I said 24.8 just to use a round number. Any kind of a daily closure above there, and I will look for some more continuation. Just putting it on the daily here. And we're getting pushed back off of that region right now. Stokes are up, but in the middle, kind of in the middle of nowhere's land. Volatility is just starting to expand. We have not regained the exponential. And usually you can, get a nice 20% move off of Bitcoin, expanding off the lows, momentum to the downside, several drives of bearish divergence forming here, unless we can take out this high on the daily time frame. This is the high to take out, 31.3, so we're a long ways away from that. And I would expect some selling pressure again coming off of this wick at 26.7, call it 27,000. Before we get a push much higher. NASDAQ coming down 64 today. Dollar, here is 1 point for the bulls, and we did point this out yesterday. An open and a closure below the green 55, likely going to get us a move down to at least 103. But again, if we see the dollar start to get back above this region right here at 107.42, that's going to look good for a move back to the top side of the range. And if that breaks, well, then targets up to this guy right here at 112, 113, something like that. And if the dollar starts to take off and starts to race like that, that'll be a big indicator Bitcoin in the stock market are going to spill back a little bit. I'm going to wrap it up, make it a short one for today. Do we want to check in on Ethereum? Still leading the pack here. Getting just poking its head above this little box here. And I would say, any kind of a closure, candle body closure above here is going to look good for probably a little bit more. And we still got to take out this guy right here at 1996, but volatility expanding off the lows. We will cross down momentum. We're in the bullish control zone, as we mentioned yesterday. So momentum will cross down below 1871 from a relatively high level. And if we do cross down and volatility continues to expand, but typically this kind of grinding up against the top side of the range, typically that's a bullish sign. And you'd be looking for extension up to this guy right here. This is the main area that I'm looking for Ethereum to get pushed back from alongside Bitcoin. So if we do see this guy pop up here, that is still 23% higher than we're at today. Then that's kind of the region I am looking for some pushback alongside Bitcoin getting pushed back off of that prior wick. All right, that's it for today. We're going to look at the lower term time frames, crossing down. Any drives of bearish divergence? We did take that one out. And coming back from over here. Yeah, so there will be several drives of bearish divergence coming from this point right here. And, you know, if we confirm this as a local high, really, I'd probably say closure below 1810 is going to do it for me. And I'd look for a move back to the bottom side of the range, you know, somewhere around 1673 on the 4-hour time frame. If that region does break, then next stop is going to be 1574. And that'll be kind of the pivot on the market for Mr. Ethereum 1571. So why don't we mark that off? If that region starts to break, then I'm probably looking for a move all the way back down here at 1366. And I'll give it an invalidation for Bitcoin. Same pivot as yesterday. Actually, I think we could move it up here slightly to this guy right here at 22,800. If we start to lose that region, probably going to make its way down to the bottom side of this channel. And that's it for today, guys. Hope you have a blessed and highly favored day. Take care.